Employees of one Silicon Valley company are bracing for pink slips today. Meta, owner of Facebook, is trimming 5% of its workforce. KTVU's South Bay reporter Jesse Gary reports now from Menlo Park.
The first day of the work week brings the final day of employment for approximately 3,600 Meta employees. Beginning at 5 a.m. Monday, pink slips went out to what the company calls the lowest performers in an effort to move them out faster.
I really want to emphasize to people that this is a very important point. If we don't solve the deficit, there won't be money for medical care. There won't be money for Social Security. We either solve the deficit, or all we'll be doing is paying debt. It's got to be solved, or there's no medical care, there's no Social Security, there's no nothing. It's got to be solved. It's not optional. America will go bankrupt if this is not done. That's why I'm here.
It's important for people to understand he's doing a big job. He's doing a very thankless job. It's really a thankless job. But he's helping us to save our country. Our country was in serious trouble, and I had to get the best guy.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are currently doing something to the U.S. economy that most people don't understand.
Man, what the fuck is you talking about?
What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry, man.
I wasn't thinking about it.
What they're doing is going to cause a lot of pain across the country. You may not understand why they're doing it, but to be honest, this should have been done a long time ago. Everyone kept asking, why do we have such a strong economy and strong stock market, but we're seeing such record inflation, and it seems like the walls are closing in on most Americans? That's the question that I'm going to answer in this video. Or at least I'm just going to provide some information, and you can decide for yourself. Welcome to the Mr. Wilson's Got a Headache podcast. I'm your host, Dennis the Menace. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation in the comment section. Check this out.
President Trump's aggressive push to slash the federal workforce and cut government spending is drawing new scrutiny.
Today, President Trump had racing fans in Daytona looking up as Air Force One did a low flyby over the speedway before landing. On the ground, the presidential limousine later did a slow roll around the track, but it's full speed ahead for the president's agenda. This week, more federal workers are expected to get pink slips, as thousands of federal employees across at least 20 agencies are being axed in a move to cut costs. Behind the effort is the White House's Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk. Critics are blasting the purges.
Bill Clinton did things to shrink the size of government, and he did it with Congress. There's a difference between that and ignoring Congress and violating the law.
Republicans claim the cuts are needed.
Well, I think that's up to President Trump. Keep in mind, President Trump put in Musk to be a consultant, just like many successful corporations around the world.
I'm not going to celebrate people losing their jobs, but I can celebrate the fact that at least these people are getting severance packages. Severance packages, if you don't know, is a package that says you're going to get paid this many months of your salary after your job ends. Now, most Americans will never experience the privilege of a severance package. You usually just get that call into the office and it feels a little funny, and then they tell you they no longer need your services. You're fired. And now you're waiting for your last check. Either way, losing a job is a tough thing to go through, especially in an economy like this. And this economy is a direct reflection of the Biden administration. I'm sure most of y'all will remember that during the Biden administration, it was big news when Biden decided to hire 80,000 new IRS agents. Nobody knew why in the beginning, but later that year I did a video that was talking about the jobs revisions report. There's a report that comes out and tells how many jobs the U.S. economy has added in a specific time period. But a month after that report is released, there's a revisions report that comes out. And when you total all of those jobs, there were over 800,000 jobs that the Biden administration said they added to the economy that actually didn't exist. The whole time, Joe Biden came out and said that we had the strongest economy in the world, we were adding jobs, and we had the best stock market in the world. And when you have a stock market that reaches record highs for an extended period of time, most people will consider that a stock market bubble. One thing about bubbles is they always pop. So looking back at the decisions that the Biden administration made makes one think that maybe they were adding so many employees to make it seem like the job market was stronger than what it really was. So Donald Trump and Elon Musk have decided that they need to right-size the federal government so the government can stop deficit spending, which is simply spending more money than we take in. The federal government is not the only company that's laying people off. As a matter of fact, the private sector have been laying people off for the last 2.5 years. Check this out.
Both Walmart and Meta have announced some pretty serious layoffs recently. And one of these comes as a big surprise, and which is Walmart, because Walmart is one of those retailers like Costco that is supposedly doing very well right now. And for them to announce layoffs when the company is doing well, it's kind of coming out of left field. Meta, on the other hand, we know that they have been cutting people for a while now, performing different rounds of mass layoffs. And this is, of course, just the latest one. However, with the amount of people they're letting go, it is significant, guys. All of these layoffs are having major unintended consequences on the economy, so I want to talk about that. So Walmart reported that they're going to be letting go of hundreds of different people in North Carolina in its effort to bring all their workers back to their main hub in Arkansas and California.
Late last year, I did a video talking about DEI, or what's known as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm sure you already know that DEI programs are being canceled across most major corporations and in the federal government. I'm not going to tell you everything that happened in that video, but if you want to see it, go check it out. It's on my channel. I'll put a card up right here so you can see it. But in that video, one of the things that I talked about from the perspective of being in management when DEI started, what we found out is that DEI made us less productive. We could no longer hire people using bias, which is a necessary part of hiring people. For instance, if you want to hire somebody to load trucks and everything on that truck is 100 pounds or more, and you see somebody come walk in and they look like they're around 80 pounds. Well, maybe you take them to the boxes and have them test to see if they can lift the box. And if they can't lift the box off the ground, then why would you hire them for the job? But during the time of DEI, there was no bias allowed in hiring. And as a result, companies got filled up with people who not only didn't have the motivation to even come to work, but didn't have what it took to get the job done. Go check that video out if you want a more detailed explanation of what happened during that time. According to Meta, their layoffs are based off of performance. If you're not up to par, slow, you're dragging, if you're calling out all the time, if they always see you running around and socializing instead of sitting down and getting your work done, they are going to let you go. There's another phrase that came up during DEI. It's called quiet quitting, where a person was working and they said, listen, no matter how hard I work, no matter how above and beyond I go, no matter what I do to try to separate myself from the other people around me, it's not getting me any farther in this company. That was a direct effect of DEI, because DEI wasn't worried about how hard you work. It was worried about making sure that each level of that business looked equitable. So people began to quiet quit and say, okay, well, if you're letting them get away with not working, I'm gonna chill too. There's not much you can say about that situation if you're not gonna reward people for their hard work and going above and beyond. In the beginning of this video, I talked about how Donald Trump and Elon Musk was doing something that was gonna hurt the U.S. economy. What I didn't say is this: I believe it's a necessary evil. Let's check out what experts have to say about the housing market over the entire year of 2024. Check this out.
I'm going to say that the housing market is at its most unaffordable levels in recent history, and inventory is the biggest issue at play. Talking about it right now, joining us, talk about housing, mortgage rates, what is actually happening here. Compass co-founder and CEO Robert Reffkin, good morning to you. We were just talking off air just about how tough last year was in terms of just overall volume of sales. What is happening?
Last year, we saw the lowest level of transactions in 29 years, a period where the population grew 25%. What we are seeing is there's just not enough inventory. This year, we
Hold on, the population grew by 25%?
Yeah, over the last 29 years.
Oh, the last 29 years. Okay, I thought it was, wow, that must have been a big year in 2022.
Yeah, so there's just it's a structural challenge. There's not enough inventory. We are seeing more inventory grow, and the positive news is for buyers.
Right.
With 25% more inventory now than a year ago, and there's a path that this time next year will be at pre-pandemic 2019 levels of inventory. We expect prices to stabilize and grow at 2%.
So how much of the challenge, though, is the new buyer market, meaning people are just priced out on one end, and then there's the sort of what I would describe as the mortgage rate mobility problem, which is somebody's bought a home, locked in at a good rate back 4 or 5 years ago, and now really can't move because the rate they're going to get today is much worse.
Yeah, we call that financial prison for some of these agents. They're locked into a mortgage rate and they just can't get out of it.
Right.
And so it's a lot better than it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, this.
But how? I guess if you were to look at the new buyer market versus this sort of locked-in prisoner dilemma, how does that pie chart look?
It is more for the locked-in.
Okay. So the locked-in is the bigger problem.
Yes, 75% of homeowners 3 years ago were locked into 4% mortgage rates or below. So if a year and a half ago when mortgages were 8.2%, now it's much better, 7%. The delta between 8 or 7 and 4 is just too much for people to want to leave. It's a financial asset. They don't want to lose it.
That means that people are building houses and people are putting houses on the market, but they're not selling. Who does that affect? It affects real estate agents. If you know anything about flipping houses, you get some money from the bank, you purchase a property, you put a lot of money into it, you renovate that property, and usually you want that process to take no more than around 3 months. But what if your property sits on the market for 8 months? What does that mean? Well, that means that you haven't made any profit off of the sale, but your payments to the bank have started. So you're losing money every time you send a payment because the bank wants his money back. And because you can't sell this property and purchase another one to keep that process going, well, your construction crew is sitting at the house. More jobs. And as a result of them sitting at the house, Home Depot and Lowe's can't sell them new materials. Sales decrease. The point of this example is to show you the domino effect that the housing market can have on the economy. These are things that I had talked about in several videos. And right now, we're seeing these things happen. Listen, the point of this video and so many other videos I've done on this subject is to tell you that things are not looking good in the economy. And you need to take whatever steps that you need to take to downsize your life and start putting as much money aside for a rainy day as possible. Do you agree with what Elon Musk is doing and Donald Trump is doing? Do you disagree? If you do, the comment section is open. Do me a favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel for future content. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.